So now I do have a sermon prepared for y'all. And I have to say, I thought it was going to be this easy breezy sermon. And it wasn't. And that's a good thing. I kind of like it when I struggle, because it means I'm really like having to look for the work and do the work, right? So the sacred relationship of gratitude. So this week, my spouse was out of town all week, from Monday to Friday. What does that mean? That means I'm doing all the drop-offs, all the pickups, which are like a lot of traffic. It means I'm doing all the food needs. It means I'm taking care of the dogs and the cat. What else does it mean? I don't know. It means a lot, right? And then my job, and also visiting my mom. So it was a busy week. And so my intention for the week was, I'm going to be grateful for all of it. I'm going to do it all through that divine source of energy that I know is already there, always available, right? So that lasted about 5 minutes. Let me tell you why. The weather didn't cooperate. I don't know if you noticed, but it's still kind of hot. Too hot for me. So I remember walking my dog and saying, if it would just not be hot outside, I would be grateful for this moment. Anybody? Does that sound like anyone? Does anyone do that? If I would just be, I could be grateful. If those drivers would at least turn on their blinkers, I would have an easy time. And when I hear people complaining about traffic and those hard drivers, I think, oh, I do fine. I'm above that. I do great. Turns out I don't. Turns out I gave some choice words to a couple of drivers while I was in traffic, and thankfully my son just laughed at me. He finds it to be funny. So it was kind of a hard week, right? And it wasn't a hard week, and it was me getting in the way, right? It was just me getting in the way of all of it. And so when it comes to gratitude, it's easy to be grateful for the easy stuff, right? For the dress you wanted that you found on sale, right? For the discontinued, for the lipstick that you thought was discontinued, but you found it because you love that shade, right? For those people who are easy, for those people who are doing exactly what you want them to do, right? That's easy. It's easy to be grateful. But what about the hard stuff? How do we get into that gratitude about the hard stuff? And that's why I named all of this as like, let us rejoice and be glad in it, because that's the practice. The practice is that whatever shows up, we're going to learn to be grateful for it, because we know that in the end, or in the long run, there's a gift in it. And when you look back over your life, or I know when I've looked back over my life, there's been gifts even in the hard stuff, right? There was a gift in my illness where I sat and I recovered for 1.5 years, and I whined, and it was hard, and I would say to my husband, is this ever going to change? Am I ever going to get out and live life again? Will I always live in pajamas? Because that's how it felt. I did it for more than 1 year. And the gift is I got a chance to meditate. I got a chance to pray. I got a chance to connect. I got a chance to heal. And that brought me here. Had it not been for that really hard time, I wouldn't be here in this wonderful moment. And so that's what I want to talk about, gratitude. And Christy did such a good job of bringing us and talking about gratitude, because it's like, how do you bring it to like the hard stuff? How do you have the feeling of gratitude? And the thing I love about gratitude is that it is a practice that always just leads you to love. Have you noticed that? When you're grateful, when you practice gratitude, the outcome is love. And that's the essence of us. That's all that we are. It's all that we have. And what Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, says about gratitude is it's a magnet of the mind. A magnet of the mind. And you notice that in the way that Jesus prays is the first thing, and we talked about this in our prosperity series, the first thing he does is say thank you. That's the first thing he does. He says thank you. Remember the loaves and the fishes, and there was only a couple of loaves and fishes, and he had an entire crowd of people to serve, And he said, thank you. And what happened? More came. And so that gratitude practice, it also works for the hard stuff. It also works because there's a gift in it. There's always a gift in it. So what I want us to take on today is just the idea of I am the face of gratitude and love. And just take that in. I am the face of gratitude and love. And know that it is a choice. It's a shifting. It's the divine within us. Meister Eckhart, who was a Christian mystic, said, if the only prayer you ever said is thank you, you've said enough. It's just a response to life, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for you who don't turn on your blinker. Thank you. Because you remind me to turn on my blinker, right? You remind me to pay attention. How about that? Thank you for this traffic. You remind me that I have a chance to look at the sky, to look at the trees, to be in this moment with my son. So that's what the practice is. And so I want to take us to it. I don't just want to give you an affirmation, but I also want to give you a practice. And that is to choose grace, to choose connection, and to choose meditation. So if you have a hard time getting to it, you can choose grace. Remember that grace is always present. It's always there. It's always available. So the first thing I want to talk about is choosing grace. And then the second one I want to talk about is choosing connection. Connection is the practice of connecting with the one moment. It's the practice of saying, right now, I want to run. Right now, I want to react. And I want to say things that aren't kind, right? But how about this? How about I take a pause? How about I connect with my divine self? That's the piece of connection. How about I live from there? How about I connect with you and you and you right here, right now? Because then what am I going to be? Just grateful, right? Grateful for it. And then the other one is meditation. And I've done this before during our meditation. And it's the Buddhist practice. And it's a simple and profound practice. And the simplicity of it is just you're saying something kind. May I be happy. May I be healthy. Right? It's just these positive expression. And the more you say it, guess what happens? The more you feel it. The more you embody it. The more you're it. And then you share it with the others. So those are the three things that we're going to do. We are equipped with the affirmation. Y'all remember it? I choose to be the face of gratitude and love. And the reason we say gratitude first is because gratitude leads to love. And then we're going to choose grace. And if you were raised Catholic, Hail Mary, full of grace is something you can think about, right? It was one of my favorite prayers. Choose grace, choose connection, and choose the meditation of loving kindness. So I want to begin with grace. One of my favorite definitions of grace is by Anne Lamott. Has anyone ever read anything by her? Yeah. She wrote Bird by Bird, which has helped me get through many a writing project. And what she says is that I do not understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are and does not leave us where it found us. I do not understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are and does not leave us where it found us. And that is the truth of grace. Anyone who's ever asked for it knows that's exactly what it does. There was a time in my life where there was someone, a beloved person, who I was having a really hard time forgiving. Has anyone ever felt that way? Like, I don't think I'm ever going to forgive this person. And that's a hard place to be, right? It just feels horrible. It eats away at you, is what it really does. And I was having a talk with my maternal aunt. She's been one of my best spiritual teachers. And while she's not here on this earthly place, I know she's still with me. She's the one that sometimes will wake me up and say, you got to get up and pray. That's her role in my life, and I miss her, and I know she's still here. But we had this wonderful conversation, and I told her about forgiveness. And I said, I'm having a really hard time forgiving this person. I'm having a really hard time. And I knew that it was eating away at me. I knew that I had to do the work. I knew it wasn't mattering in that person's life, right? It's not about them. It's about you. And I said, and I don't know how I'm going to do this. It feels like Mount Everest. The mountain I will never climb. That's what it felt like. And I said, but I know I have to. And she said to me, I said, so what do I do? What do I do? And she said, you ask for grace. Just ask for grace. And I said, okay, here we go. Here we go. And guess what? I did. I asked for grace, and every single time it came up and that situation came up and that person came up, I'd ask for grace every single time. And guess what happened? It worked. Forgiveness happened. It worked because it is there available. It is that goodness. It is that love. It's already within us, but we don't always know it or feel it. It's a shift to it, right? It's an absolute shift. And it's a willingness and it's a choice. It's grace. Hail Mary, full of grace. One of my favorite prayers. Hail Mary, full of grace. Excuse me. So, grace. Second connection. Many of y'all know that my mom fell. It's been more than a month now. Yeah, it's been more than a month. And she's elderly. She's 93. And she fractured her pelvis. So that's a really big thing. And I have to say, I've been spending a lot of time with her. And before this happened, I was hardly spending any time with her. I felt like I was too busy. I just felt like life was too busy. And so this fall, while I'm sad for her that she's had to go through it, it's been a gift for me, right? Because it was like kind of like that reminder, like, your mom's aging. She's 93. She's aging. She needs you, and you need her. So it's been such a gift to go and see her. I try to be there for at least once a day. I don't make it every day, at least 4 times a week. I'm there for her meals. She's not eating much. She just is not interested in food. But what she is interested in doing is spending time with me, and that is such a gift. And I go and I polish her nails, because if you know my mom, it's kind of a daily thing to file a nail or polish a nail. She's very particular in how they look. And then I spend time watching a Netflix show with her. We do that. We get in bed, and we watch on my little bitty phone. And we watch one in Spanish because we like that, and it's a historical piece, and we comment on the beautiful clothes and how pretty the women look with their nails. It's just a wonderful time. And I asked her, recently we were talking about, like, what have you learned in life? Like, what have you learned? And she said the sweetest thing to me. She said, I've learned to love you more. I've learned to love you more. And that child in me needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. And she said, you're so sweet how you come and take care of me. And I have left every single time with this just deep gratitude, deep fulfillment, right? Because the thing about gratitude is when we practice gratitude, we enter into a sacred relationship. Have you noticed that? You're in sacred relationship with the divine. You're in sacred relationship with yourself, with one another. That's what gratitude is, and it leads to love. So it's been a gift, unfortunate for her, but for me, because it's been a reminder of our divine appointment with one another. And the thing about relationships like that is, in those relationships, you learn all of it, those primary relationships, because you've done it all in those relationships, right? You've practiced forgiveness, you've practiced love, you've practiced gratitude, and they've grown. They grow you, and it's grown me. And so the last thing, to get to gratitude, if you feel like you're struggling, because that's what all of this is. If you feel like gratitude isn't there, here are some ways and some entry points into it. And another entry point is loving kindness. And the goal of loving kindness, of the metta prayer, is basically to cultivate love and kindness towards all, right? Because here's the thing about loving kindness. If you don't hold it for yourself, guess what? You can't give it away, right? If you don't have compassion for yourself, you can't give it away. If you're not grateful for yourself and your life, you don't have that attitude towards life. All of it. If you don't love yourself, if you're kind to yourself, you're not going to do that with others. And so this prayer is so beautiful because you just say these simple statements. May I be well. That's simple. May I be happy. It's very simple. May I be love. And then you send it out into others. And so what the profound part is you begin to believe it, right? You embody it. And then once you embody it, you send it out. And so we can have some of practice now because guess what, y'all? Thursday's coming up. And you may be with people that you have a hard time being with. And so this is what you'll say to yourself and to them if that's the case. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I be free from all suffering. May I live with ease and in peace. May I lead with compassion. May I prosper with wisdom. May I find forgiveness. And then after you say that, you say it to someone else. In your mind, of course. You don't say, may you find forgiveness. That's not the nice way of practicing it, y'all. That's not, may you be happy. No, that's not how we do it, right? You do it from that place of loving kindness. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free of suffering. And you truly mean it. You truly mean it. And the thing, what science says, which I love this, what science says about this practice is that it's beneficial for your mind and your body. It promotes self-compassion. It promotes gratitude. It promotes loving kindness. Isn't that beautiful? Just by doing it. So do your best to make it a practice every day. And then last, I want to end with what Brother David says. He's known as the grandfather of gratitude. And so he has this formula of way of getting to gratitude. And what he says is we need to stop, we need to look, and we need to go. It's like we come to a traffic light. You stop, you look, and you go. And he says, you think this is just another day in your life. It's not just another day. It's the one day that is given to you. Today, it's a gift. It's the only gift that you have right now, and the only appropriate response is gratefulness. If you learn to respond as if it was the first day in your life and the very last day, then you will have spent this day very well. Begin by opening your eyes and be surprised that you have eyes that you can open. The incredible array of colors that is offered to us for pure enjoyment. Look at the sky. We so rarely look at the sky. We so rarely note how different it is from moment to moment with clouds coming and going. Open your eyes. Look at the faces of people you will meet. Each one has an incredible story behind their face. Not only their story, but the story of their ancestors and that life from generations and from so many places all over the world flown together and meets you here like a life-giving water if you only open your heart and drink. Open your heart to the incredible gifts that civilization gives to us. You flip a switch and there is electric light. Turn a faucet and there is warm water and cold water and drinkable water, a gift that millions and the millions in the world will never experience. And so I wish that you open your heart to all these blessings and let them flow through you, that everyone you meet on this day will be blessed by your presence. Let the gratefulness overflow into blessing all around you. Then it will be ready, and you will be ready to have a good day. And so as I read that, I couldn't help but notice, stop and be aware of grace, right? Choose grace. Stop and choose connection. and then stop and go in loving kindness. Go in loving kindness and know that I embrace you and I love you, I support you, and I encourage you on this journey. Amen.